Hey everyone, and welcome to Life with Liv. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this delicious, low-carb Italian meatball recipe. It is inspired by Gino D'Acampo's meatball recipe, but I've adapted it to make it gluten-free and keto-friendly. This recipe uses pork rinds instead of breadcrumbs, as well as beautiful fresh ingredients like parsley and garlic and Parmigiano Reggiano. They're then simmered in a beautifully simple tomato sauce. I am so excited to be sharing this recipe with you, and I have so many more. So if you like this sort of content, it would mean so much to me if you would like this video and consider subscribing. All right, let's get started. To get started with this recipe, we're going to need about 1 cup of crushed pork rinds. I've put the pork rinds in a food processor, and we're just going to pulse a couple of times until they resemble the texture of panko breadcrumbs. These are going to replace the breadcrumbs found in traditional meatball recipes, making these keto-friendly as well as gluten-free. Like fresh breadcrumbs, these are going to help keep the meatballs tender and help them to retain moisture. To that, we're going to add 1 cup of shredded Parmigiano Reggiano as well as half a cup of chopped fresh parsley. Next, we're going to crush 2 fresh garlic cloves. Add in a couple of tablespoons of heavy cream, as well as 2 fresh eggs. Next, add about 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and some freshly cracked black pepper. I like to mix up all these ingredients first before adding the meat so that you don't risk over mixing, which in turn will give you a tough meatball. Here I have about 2 pounds of ground beef. You can absolutely do half beef, half pork. That would be delicious, but this is what I have on hand today, so that's what I'll be using. I'm just breaking it up a little bit with a fork, again, to just avoid overworking the mixture. All right, now we're going to get in there and mix everything up, making sure that everything's evenly incorporated, and once we feel that it is, we can start forming our meatballs. Here I'm just taking a large cookie scoop and I am portioning out the meatballs. This is optional, you don't have to do it, but I think it helps to make sure all the meatballs end up the same size. Once we have the meatballs portioned out, we can begin rolling. Once we're done with that, the meatballs are ready to go into a 400-degree oven for 8 to 10 minutes. While our meatballs are in the oven, let's get started on our sauce. Here I have a can of San Marzano tomatoes. They are whole peeled tomatoes. I do recommend these because they have a rich flavor and they seem to be less acidic, but you can use any canned tomato that you like. I would suggest using whole peeled tomatoes though, as they end up being a higher quality tomato as opposed to the ones that are already crushed or pureed. You can pour these in a bowl and crush them by hand. I've done that before, but today I'm going to use the stick blender to puree them. In a heavy bottomed pan, I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of olive oil, along with a few shakes of crushed red pepper, followed by our tomatoes. This is a really simple sauce. It has only a few ingredients, but we really want to let the meatballs shine, so We only have a couple more ingredients to add. I'll add a few cracks of pepper and some salt. Along with a handful of fresh basil. After about 10 minutes in the oven, your meatballs will look like this. They'll be nicely browned and ready to add to our sauce. Carefully add the meatballs into the sauce. You'll be able to see that it was a little bit of a tight fit, but just do the best you can to get them all in there. Cover with a lid and simmer on low for about 10 to 15 minutes. And after 10 minutes, they will look like this. These are great served over some spiralized zucchini noodles for a keto spaghetti and meatballs, or you can freeze them. They freeze really well actually, so they're great for meal prep. Or you can plate them up like I did by themselves. My family likes to eat these alongside a salad. I do love this recipe. These meatballs are tender and flavorful, and I do hope you give them a try. Thanks so much for watching, and if you like this video, please consider sharing it with your friends and family. I'll see you in the next one.